All right. Hi, everybody. It's Tuesday. Welcome to IP Chatter with Janelle. My name is Janelle Lacey. I am an intellectual property attorney in Atlanta. Today, we're going to talk about office actions. So, in each of the different areas of intellectual property, you will receive office actions from your application: patents, trademarks, copyright. Today, we're mainly going to be talking about trademark office actions. So, an office action comes from the trademark examining attorney who is reviewing and examining your trademark application. It's an official notice where the examining attorney is letting you know what is wrong with your application. Now, it could be something that's detrimentally wrong with your application that could stop you in the trademark application registration process, or it could be something that's not as detrimental that you just need to clean up, fix, clarify, or something to that effect. So there is a non-final office action and there is a final office action. Typically, you'll have 6 months to reply to this office action. Remember, you must reply to each and every issue that the examining attorney puts forth in that office action. So even if you think that it's something that is so trivial and so small, make sure that you respond, because if you don't, you're going to get another rejection and you're just going to prolong the office action. Now, most of the time, there's not that much back and forth between the trademark office and with the applicant. It might go 1 or 2 times, whereas opposed to in patent, it could go years. It could go 2 years, 1 year, or whatever, just depending on what's going on there. So now, the first office action that you're going to get is a non-final office action. That just means that you still have more opportunity to proceed through your trademark registration. So it means that once you respond to that trademark, non-final office action, there's still going to be another opportunity for the examiner to either reject it finally or to go ahead and approve and allow your trademark, or he might find another, or he or she might find another rejection in your application depending on how you answered that non-final office action. Now, the final office action, all that says is that this is going to be the last opportunity that trademark examiner is going to respond back to you about your trademark application. So at that point, you either need to fix whatever is wrong, if you can fix it, or your application is going to go abandoned. And if you don't respond even to a non-final office action after that 6-month deadline, your application will go abandoned. So it is very imperative that you make sure that you're responding to these office actions. Not only do you need to respond, but you need to make sure that it is a substantive response and that it is satisfactory to the examining attorney, because that could be detrimental to you getting your registration there. So sometimes, like I said, there's detrimental office actions, and then there's office actions that aren't that big of a deal that you can overcome and go ahead and get your application through the notice of allowance. So starting with the less detrimental ones is sometimes the examiner is going to want to see a different specimen, or maybe you didn't show a specimen at all. And so we've gotten an office action where the pixelation was too blurry for the for the trademark examiner, and that could just be a preference, or it could just be not a clear enough picture for them to determine what kind of logo or mark it was. So that's a pretty easy fix. The specimen shows how you are using that mark in commerce. And so if your specimen doesn't show how you're using the mark in commerce, then the examiner is going to reject it and you're going to have to provide a new one. And if you're not using it in commerce, then that's going to be an issue as well. You may have to change your application from a 1A to 1B, saying that you have an intent to use it, but you're not currently using it now. So another issue that office actions will present is that sometimes your description of your services or your goods is just not clear and it's not definite. So each class has different descriptions that go with the class of goods or services, and for whatever reason, however you described it isn't clear to the examiner, or it doesn't fit the class that you've put it under, or there could be a myriad of different things why they reject it. Again, not a fatal flaw. This is something that you can correct, and sometimes the examiner will give you an example that will tell you if you change it like this, if this is correct, then that's okay, and they'll allow that through. So that's not too big of a deal. Another not devastating office action is disclaimers. So sometimes in your trademark, if it's a word, you're going to have to disclaim a word. So if it's what that means is that you are not trademarking that particular word. So if I want something furniture, Janelle's furniture store, then the trademark examiner is probably going to make me disclaim furniture and store, because that's going to be used across the board with anybody who's doing a furniture store. Now I can use my name and I can trademark it as Janelle's furniture store, but I just have to put in my application that I'm not trademarking furniture store so that other people are not allowed to use that. And so that's what a disclaimer is. Again, not detrimental. You can go ahead, fix that, put in the disclaimer, and then you can get your application allowed. Now for the biggies here. Now there's two that can stop your progress at the trademark office. And the biggest one is a likelihood of confusion. So what that means is that the examiner is looking at your mark, your logo, your words, whatever it is, and saying there's something else out there that is going to confuse consumers, and so we're rejecting your application. Now this is probably the hardest one to get over, because if you can't prove to the examiner that it would not be confusing to consumers in the same space of trade, then you're not going to get your trademark. And this is where we encourage you as attorneys to make sure that you're doing that trademark search before you go out there and try to file for that trademark if you're doing it on your own. Now if you hire an attorney, myself or somebody else, to go ahead and file your trademark for you, we're going to do a thorough search. So it's not enough to Google it or to even go on the USPTO website. You want to do a thorough search that pulls everything that could possibly be confusing with your name, so that you know what your chances are of getting that trademark. Now, there are times, like I said, where you can overcome this likelihood of confusion, perhaps if it's in a different class, a different trade, but what you can't do is, because you spell yours with a P and they spell theirs with an A or with an F, that yours is different and it's not confusing. So they're going to look at it aesthetically, phonetically, and any way, if somebody says it, it sounds alike. If somebody looks at it, it sounds alike, or anything that can just be confusing to somebody like you or me who is out there shopping for these goods. And if it is, you're going to get rejected. And that's the number one rejection that we'll see in trademark applications. So definitely want to do that search so that you don't get that likelihood of confusion, rejection, because that could end you with your registration. And then another one that could be a problem is if it's merely descriptive. And I actually had this issue today. I had to talk to a potential client and let him know that he probably isn't going to get his application, or he's not going to get his registration, because it was descriptive of the method of what he was doing. So he wasn't trying to trademark his business name or his brand name. He was trying to trademark the description of what he does in his business. And so the trademark office is going to give you a rejection, and they're going to tell you no, because it's merely descriptive. So merely descriptive marks can go on the supplemental registry. So there's the principal registry, that's the highest registration, and then there's the supplemental registry. As I talked about this before, so just a quick recap, this is the one time that you want to be in the principal's office, okay? The principal registry automatically validates that you are the owner of that trademark. You don't have to prove, if you have to file a lawsuit or somebody files a lawsuit against you, you don't have to prove that you are the owner of that mark and that your mark is valid. Now, if you're on the supplemental, you still get federal registration. You still get to use the R with the circle around it. It puts people on notice to deter them. But the problem with that is that if you sue or somebody sues you, there's not that automatic presumption of validity and ownership. And therefore, you have to cross that hurdle of trying to prove that in your field, in your city, town, or wherever it is that you're using your services or goods, that your name is known for that particular service and goods. So save yourself the trouble, find something unique, find something that somebody else is not already using so that you can get your registration through. So I just wanted to come in, give you some quick information on office actions. Now, if you receive an office action, give me a call. I can go through it with you. I can try to see if we can overcome whatever the rejections are. Like I said, sometimes they're just simple fixes, and sometimes they're detrimental to the point where you might have to start over. So the best thing to do is have an attorney look it over so that you know what to do. Sometimes all hope is not lost. Even better, before you file that trademark application, please come talk to us so that we can help you, we can show you the ropes so that you don't end up having to spend money, because remember, every time that you go back and forth with the trademark office, it's going to cost you money, it's going to cost you time. I hope this was helpful, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Again, I'll drop my email down below if you have any questions, anything specific that you want me to answer, let me know. Bye guys, have a great day.